way down memory lane. You and me long time ago, and we were teens with tremendous dreams, always playing king and queen.
Up here at old Grafton Archery today. Figured we'd go through the 2019 lineup of bows. We're going to go through the Elite, Hoyt, and Mathews line. We'll start off here with the Ritual 30. So all these bows are set up 70 pounds, 29-inch draw. We're going to shoot a 426 grain Easton Axis, kind of to simulate somewhat of a hunting arrow, about the weight you would shoot, for an arrow for this draw length. I've got the chronograph in the stabilizer hole here. Not the most accurate, but it'll give us a reference for all the bows. Try to do it same draw length, same draw weight, same arrow and all that stuff. Gonna be shooting through a whisker biscuit. Similar setup on the strings. I think several of them have a peep sight and some don't, but that's negligible, a couple feet a second at the most. But anyway, hopefully this test will kind of give you an idea if you're interested in one of the 2019 bows. It'll kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at if you don't have a chance to come up and shoot one. But for me, I would recommend definitely coming up and shooting a bow before you decide on, oh, it's a Mathews, so I'm going to go with a Mathews, or oh, it's a Hoyt, I'm going to go with a Hoyt. Definitely come up and shoot these bows because each person has their own preference, just like shoes or boots or any of that stuff. So let's get on to the test and see how these bows compare to each other. So this is the Ritual 30, 70 pounds, 29-inch draw, 286. Not really liking that draw on this bow. 280. Alright, so that was a Ritual 30. Overall, not really that impressed with that bow. It shoots alright, but draw cycle's pretty stiff. The best thing, everybody knows, the thing that Elite has for them is the back wall. You draw that thing back and it just sits in your hand. But as far as the draw cycle, not really impressed. And it's kind of like a tuning fork in your hand. Now, granted, it doesn't have a stabilizer or sight or any of that stuff on it, so that's going to take some of it out. But just the feel of the shot and for the price of the bow, not really what I would recommend. That's not a bow that I would shoot personally. Like I said, the back wall is great, but that's about the only thing this bow's got going for it. Alright, so this is the Ritual. This is the only bow that we're going to shoot today that's not from the 2019 lineup. This is last year's bow, but it's so similar to the 2019 bow that I figured I might as well go ahead and shoot it here too. Difference is just axle to axle from this year's bow and last year's bow. .280. I think it draws better too. .279. .278. I like this bow a lot better than the Ritual 30. I don't know what the difference is, why it shoots better, but to me it's a lot more dead in your hand. The draw cycle's smoother and it's got the same back wall, and it's relatively the same speed. I think it was just several feet a second difference between the two. So I'd say if you're on the fence between buying the new 2019 Ritual 30 or either buying the 2018 Ritual or sticking with the Ritual if you already have it. Personally, I'd go ahead and stick with the Ritual. I definitely like that bow a lot better than the 30. Alright, so now we're going to start with the Mathews. I think out of The last couple of years, Mathews kind of stood out last year over all the others. And this year it seems like they're on the same pace, maybe going to be a better year than last year. They came out with the Vertix, or the Triax last year, and everybody loved that bow, and now they got the Vertix, which I think is going to be their flagship bow pretty much this year. It's going to be their top seller. But this is the TX5. This is their 5-inch brace height bow, 28-inch draw, or 28 inches axle to axle. So the as far as being able to tell you how accurate they are at distance, I won't be able to tell you that, but I can tell you how it shoots. So let's go ahead and see what this one shoots and see how the draw cycle and stop feels. A little bit stiffer draw. Holds good, but you can definitely tell that axle to axle's short. 293. $289. $295. So that was a TX5. It's all right. It shoots pretty good. Draw cycle's really stiff. For me, I'm not a big short axle to axle guy, so I could definitely tell it's a shorter bow. When you draw back, it definitely doesn't settle out in your hand like a little bit longer axle to axle would. And it had a weird tink, like a metal contact sound in every single shot. Now, there's nothing loose on it. It's not like it's got a sight with a loose screw or something, but can't quite figure out what that is. I'd have to dig into it a little more to kind of figure out what that noise is, but it shoots pretty good, but for the price, I don't know that I would consider it one of the top candidates. So let's move on to the next one and see how it shoots. So now we got the Vertix. I think this is probably going to be one of the top bows out of this lineup. I've drawn one back, never shot one, so we'll see how it shoots. It definitely is a good looking bow, and 30 inches axle to axle is kind of, it's a shorter bow, but it's not so short that I think it's going to be an issue. So see how this one shoots. It's got a stiff draw, not nearly as stiff as the TX5 was. Back wall's okay. It's got a stiff back wall, but it ain't got much of a valley. 294. $303. $290. All right, so that was the Vertix. It shot good. It was definitely a lot deader in the hand than the bows prior that I've shot. Pretty quiet. I know it's hard to tell. We're in this little shooting range here, so everything's going to sound loud. But back wall was okay. Not much of a valley though. Definitely not as much of a back wall as like the Elites had, but overall it was a good shooting. All right, so this is the Tactic. I think this is like the 30.5-inch axle to axle. It's supposed to simulate the, supposed to be the new version of like a Chill that was so popular a few years back. Good feeling bow. It doesn't have the big knobby harmonic dampeners like the new, all the newer Mathews have. But so far I haven't noticed that really to make that big of a difference on the vibration in the hand. So let's see how this one shoots. Draw cycle is nicer than the other ones, but it's definitely got a spongy back wall. I can definitely pull quite a bit into it. And it's got a good bit of vibration in the hand. 293. $281. 287. So that was the Tactic. Shot pretty good. It had more of a spongy back wall than the other Mathews, but it also seemed to have a smoother draw cycle to me than the last two that I shot. So overall, you know, not a bad shooting bow. Pretty good axle to axle length. It's not very heavy, so not a bad bow there from Mathews. All right, so here's the Mathews Traverse. This one pretty much the same as the Vertix. It's just longer, axle to axle. So I think it's like a few feet a second slower. So see how that shoots. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That draw cycle is real nice, and it's got that stiff back wall. 286. That's got that tink, like the TX5 had. That draw cycle is a lot smoother. It doesn't have a big load. 285. $293. So far, this is definitely the best shooting bow out of the bows that I've shot. It's got a really nice draw cycle, and the back wall is really nice on it. Pretty quiet, and it's dead in your hand, so really can't ask a whole lot more out of a bow. Definitely would recommend coming and shooting this bow for sure. The new Helix from Hoyt. Finish wise, personally, I like the finish of a Hoyt the best out of the bows so far. First time shooting this, so let's see how it shoots. I like that. Pretty solid on the back wall. Got a little sponge to it, but not too bad. Draw cycle was pretty smooth. A little bit of vibration in the hand. $294. So that was 286 and 294. $287. So that was the Helix from Hoyt. Overall, I really like the way that bow shot. Had a pretty good draw cycle. A little bit stiff, not too bad. Had a decent back wall. Overall, I think all around, I like this bow the best so far. The Mathews, just the draw cycle is what gets me. They just have that stiffer draw on the back end right before it rolls over. So let's go to the next one. All right, so this is the Helix Ultra. A little bit longer axle to axle than the regular Helix. The only difference on this one is it's got a peep sight and a kisser button, so keep that in mind. It's going to slow it down probably 4 or 5 feet a second slower than what it would be naked string. So let's see what this one shoots like. I think it's got a really smooth draw. It's kind of stiff at the beginning, and then it really gets easy. $272. That thing's smooth. Got a good bit of vibration though. $273. That thing gets really smooth at the back. Pretty good on the back wall. $275. All right, so that was the Helix Ultra. Probably the slowest bow I've tested so far overall. But on the draw cycle, what was weird was it was stiff at the very front, like inch of the draw, and then it just went completely smooth on the back, almost like you're drawing nothing, which is just a little bit different to get used to, but it's actually pretty nice. Pretty good shooting bow, had a good bit of vibration in the hand, and had a pretty decent back wall, so overall not a bad bow. All right, so here's the new RX3, really highly anticipated bow for this year. Fit and finish is pretty cool looking, a little bit more spread out at the top than in the typical Hoyt tubular bows in the past. Almost reminds me of a PSE carbon bows as far as the way it looks, that PSE carbon air. Feels good in the hand. It's got the new designed grip for the Hoyts for this year that's adjustable. So let's see how it shoots. Smooth. It's crazy how it's the difference between the draw cycle on the carbons and the aluminums. Dead in your hand. 287. .292. That's the best one so far. .291. So that's so far the best bow out of the ones that I've shot. This is definitely my favorite. Take it with a grain of salt. I like the way this bow shoots. Dead in your hand. Pretty consistent. Not the fastest. So far, I think the Mathews, the Vertix. I think so far the Vertix have been the fastest. That and TX5 are pretty close together, right around the 300 mark. This one's a little slower than that. It's like probably gonna average right around 291 or something like that. But overall, I like the draw cycle, the shot deadness in the hand, and the back wall on this bow. So see what the next one has. All right, so here's the RX3 Ultra. Same as the RX3, just a little longer to axle, and I think a few feet a second difference on the speed. So let's see how this one shoots. Draw cycle's not too bad. It kind of reminds me of the Helix Ultra on the draw cycle. It's got a little bit better back wall, feels like, than the Helix did. Definitely a little spongier on the back wall. 277. .277. RX3 Ultra. Overall, decent shooting bow. I definitely like the RX3 better, but not a bad shooting bow. I don't know if I'll pay the carbon price for it because it shot a whole lot like the aluminum Helix version of this bow. So overall, not a bad shooting bow. So after shooting all these bows and kind of going through what I thought would be the best hunting bow, I came up with the RX3 and the Traverse from Mathews. And I kind of factored in a bunch of different things, not just speed, although I got the speed from all these bows, and these two were both at the top. I factored in more of quiet, dead in the hand, more of the draw cycle. I didn't want something that really had a stiff draw cycle and then loped off at the back, which I got out of several of these bows. Also focused on let off, the back wall, and that kind of thing. And the RX3 to me was the quietest, the most dead in the hand. I liked the draw cycle, the shot sequence. I liked all that the most out of all these bows. And the features are, I mean, let's face it, this is the most expensive bow out of the group. But all in all, if you're wanting top of the line, the best hunting bow out there, out of the 2019 lineup, I really like this RX3. This is the first bow that I've shot since I got my Carbon Spider 34 that I really enjoyed, that I feel like was a big enough upgrade to think about buying a new bow. That being said, the Traverse was right behind it. I really enjoyed the way this bow shot as well. Thinking the Traverse was just a few feet a second slower than the RX3, but like the RX3, it was pretty well dead in your hand. I actually really like the back wall on this, just like the RX3. Didn't seem quite as stiff, and I think that's because the way Hoyt did their dual draw stops and all that stuff this year. To me, this is, out of all the Hoyts I've shot, this has the best back wall out of all of them, including, and way better than my bow. When you get this bow back there, it really holds. It holds good, and it doesn't try to jump up on you, which is kind of weird considering the design of these cams is more of the traditional oblong shaped cams versus what they used to use was more of a rounder cam design. But this cam, what's cool about it is you draw back and the first, I don't know, quarter to a half of an inch, it's really stiff, and then from there on it just like gets super smooth. Between the two, I would say the Hoyt, probably like 10 pounds, maybe not quite 10 pounds, but a good bit different in when you maxed it out at 70 pounds and drew back. The Hoyt didn't feel like 70 pounds. The Mathews to Traverse, it felt like 70 pounds, but it wasn't overbearing. Like it had a good cycle to it. And like I said, I haven't put these bows to their paces as far as distance and accuracy and stuff like that. This is just purely back in the shop, 20 yards, no sights, just draw back, feel how it holds, squeeze off, feel how it shoots. As far as balance goes, I don't know if you can tell it, but the grip on this bow is farther to the towards the bottom of the bow. It's no longer centered in the bow, and that bow is just completely balanced. And Mathews does the same thing. And I can't remember which year they came out with that technology, but I want to say that Mathews was the first ones to do that. And it really does feel very balanced in your hand. It doesn't have that traditional top heavy feeling like Mathews was kind of known for. And the Hoyts always have been really balanced, but for some reason, man, this bow just sits good in your hand. I also like how they have a separate spot to put a back bar, side bar, whatever you want to call it, and it's offset. So in the past, they've been more towards the center of the riser. These are offset, which really, I think, if for somebody like me, I shoot a 7-arrow tight spot quiver. If you're wanting to shoot a fixed quiver or leave your quiver on there, it's really going to be nice to have that offset bracket for your stabilizer. Being offset like that, you may not have to run a sidebar. So for me, I'm actually running a traditional stabilizer and a back sidebar. And I need all the weight I can get on this side to equalize that 7-arrow quiver. I'm interested to see on this one how people have their setup, if they're even really needing that extra side weight to offset the weight of their stabilizer. But overall, between all the 2019 bows, the RX3 and the Traverse were my favorite. Pretty far ahead of all the other bows. There wasn't really another bow that came close to the way these two shot, in my opinion. Even the Vertix. The Vertix was a good shooting bow, and that's really Mathews' flagship bow for this year, but something about the Traverse, I just really like the way that bow shot and held. And the same thing with the RX3. I noticed a big difference between the Helix, I believe it is, the aluminum bow. I noticed a big difference between the RX3 carbon and those bows as far as the shot, really the whole thing, the draw, the back wall, which is weird because they have the same cam system. But anyway, something about this bow I really, really liked. Even with the hefty price tag, I think this bow is top of the line. I think it's the best bow on the market. Between Hoyt, Mathews, and Elite. Those are the three brands that I shot and reviewed. I can't say for any of the other brands, I haven't shot them, but between those three Hoyt, Mathews, and Elite, the RX3 and the Traverse were definitely my favorite. So take this review for what it's worth. If you like the review, give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe. Come up here to the archery shop, come up to Old Grafton Archery and see what they got. They got a lot going on, and they got a lot of products and a lot of cool archery equipment. Very knowledgeable. Come up here and see them, and come check these bows out for yourself. Come shoot them, come see what you think, and we'll talk with you later. Have a good one.
On my way down memory lane, you and me long time ago, and we were teens with tremendous dreams, always playing king and queen.